Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
And on behalf of Swami Amrutaranandaji Mataji, I would like to welcome all the participants. The reason why you're seeing me do the welcome is because today is the birth centenary of Sri Swami Venkateshanji Maharaj. And here at the Anandakuti Ashrama, we are celebrating this event, of course, because Swami Venkateshanji is the Guru of Anandakuti Ashrama. And over the last year, we've been having monthly talks by various disciples of Swami Venkateshanji, usually on the 29th. But we felt that for this very, very special day, which is the actual birth centenary, we thought it would be most befitting, and it would have a great honor for us if the president of the Divine Life Society, Sri Swami Yogaswarupanandaji Maharaj, would be addressing us. And Swamiji was so kind to agree. He immediately responded to my email, and then furthermore, not only to talk on the birth centenary, but then actually that his talk would also be included in the Christmas retreat was of greater joy to us. So I welcome Swami Yogaswarupanandaji Maharaj, of course, to the Christmas retreat, although I don't think that's my place, but more so to our satsang here at the Anandakuti Ashrama. Swamiji, you won't see maybe that many people on the screen from our ashram because many of the devotees are here with me here in the satsang room, watching you on the big screen. So we are welcoming you on behalf of Swami Parvatyananda Mataji and all the devotees here at the ashram. I welcome Swamiji to our ashram virtually, and we thank you so much for addressing us, Swamiji.
Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Shivanandaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Chidanandaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Krishnanandaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Venkateshanandaya. I am very, very happy. Today is the very, very auspicious day. Today is the day our most revered and worshipful Sri Swami Venkateshanji Maharaj birth centenary day. On this auspicious occasion, as suggested and expressed the desire by our most beloved Sri Swami Vidyananda Maharaj, I am asked to release the book of His Holiness Sri Swami Venkateshanji Maharaj. On this auspicious day, I am releasing the book of Sri Swami Venkateshanji Maharaj. Oh, beautiful picture of Sri Swami Venkateswara Maharaj doing namaskar to Lord Venkateswara. Bliss of the world, Lord of seven hills. That is the title of the book. Venkateswara, Balaji. I offer it to Worshipful Gurudev Swami Sivanji Maharaj. Okay. We'll take it to Samadhi Mandir also, we'll keep it. And also, bookmark. Beautiful picture of Sri Swami Venkateswara Maharaj. It's a bookmark. Not only book, we can keep the bookmark also in that book so that we can see Swami Venkateswara Maharaj daily. I'm immensely happy to tell, even though I am sitting on the Ganges bank, at this moment simultaneously I can communicate with devotees of Worshipful Gurudev in 18 countries. That is possible only through, it is not ordinary effort, very much noble effort and very hard work of our most revered Sri Swami Amrutarupani Mataji. And because of her kind effort, contacting the people, especially Sri Madanji from India, Sri Krishit from India, Sri Biping ji from Singapore, Sri Vimalaji from Singapore, Sri Dominic from Switzerland, and Sri Zin Mataji from Brazil. And I came to know, we know this Zin Mataji, she was the music director during our Christmas retreat. She only directed all the carols during our Christmas retreat when it is organized in the headquarters ashram. Her name is also Zen, the Zen meditation also. I am very, very happy to tell, because of this kind effort, we are in a position to communicate and sit together and meet each other at this auspicious moment from the holy banks of Mother Ganga and abode of Worshipful Gurudev. And today, being the very much auspicious day, this is a great tribute to our most revered Sri Swami Venkateswara Maharaj. Sri Swami Venkateswara Maharaj came to ashram. He was a stenographer, very genius. And then he came and met with Gurudev. It is just like a small piece of iron contacting the magnet. The moment he came in contact of Worshipful Gurudev, he was so much transformed. And then Gurudev was so much impressed by him. Many other, especially Vishnudevanji Maharaj, they were telling, he was the most beloved child of Gurudev, Swami Sivanji Maharaj. And first when the Swamiji goes out of the kutir, first he used to go to Venkateswara kutir, which is nearby Ganges Bank. And then only he will go to Diamond Jubilee Hall to meet others. Swami Venkateswara Maharaj and other senior Swamijis, they worked very, very hard. And whatever thought expressed by Gurudev, he brought it in a black and white and written form. Hence, we are having so many books of Gurudev. As said by Vidyanand Maharaj, black and white is very, very important. Because of that, today we are in a position to see Gurudev's book in more than 500 books in his name. And Sri Swami Venkatesh Maharaj, he did such a noble human service to spiritual aspirants. It is very difficult to understand Bhagavad Gita and also the Yoga Vasishta. The Yoga Vasishta is a part of Ramayana. Ordinarily, when you read it, it is impossible to grasp it. Understanding by traveling different parts of the world, Sri Swami Venkatesh Maharaj understood this problem of spiritual aspirants, and he brought this Yoga Vasishta in the form of Supreme Yoga. And it is not merely the Supreme Yoga, it is day-to-day, daily readings also. From 1st January to 31st December, he compiled the entire teachings of the Yoga Vasishta in a very simple language. And by reading it, one can grasp the importance, philosophy, or yoga, or spiritual life. He brought it in a very simple way and practical way, how an ordinary human being can grasp the supreme truth by daily readings. Here also, in our ashram, we have got a study group. We also read different scriptures. There was one Swami Brahmani Maharaj we used to conduct. We studied through his guidance many Upanishads, Yoga Vasishta, Bhagavad Gita, all these things. But we read especially the Supreme Yoga of Venkatesh Maharaj for many months. Similarly, Swami Venkatesh Maharaj brought the Bhagavad Gita also in the title Song of God. This is also a very beautiful book. And this also from January 1st to 31st December, daily readings of the Bhagavad Gita. There is no need to read Bhagavad Gita if you read this book. He brought it, the essence of the entire Bhagavad Gita and Mahabharata through many stories also. That is the speciality of Venkatesh Maharaj. Very simple English. Just like our Gurudev, he used to bring it in a very simple language. Whatever Gurudev wrote, it is from the heart. And whatever Gurudev expressed, our Venkatesh brought it in black and white. And so we got so many books. And today, being the tribute to Sri Swami Venkatesh Maharaj, I need not speak myself. On the other hand, I can read some portion of the Song of God from Bhagavad Gita daily reading. And it is more instructive, and also one can grasp that spirit of the Bhagavad Gita through this. It is on 9th July. One of the most important of the Bhagavad Gita is Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Yejana Paryupasate Yasham Nityabhayuktanam Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. For that, how our Venkatesh Maharaj interpreted it in the Song of God, Bhagavad Gita, it was dated in 9th July. And meaning of that verse is, to those men who worship me alone, thinking of no other, of those ever united, I secure that which is not already possessed and preserve what they already possess. Our Swamiji Venkatesh Maharaj writes this. This is the royal secret, the royal road to the realization of the Absolute. We should disengage ourselves from the self-manufactured snare of illusion, thinking of God for a while and then of the objects of the world for the rest of the time betrays insincerity and a doubt. The test of our sincerity here is the natural attitude of our mind to be ever conscious of God. This habit must be cultivated, realizing that it is on account of His grace that we are able to see, speak, hear, think, and so on. By sincerely becoming aware of this tremendous truth, we are freed from our own motivations and we live free, doing whatever has to be done. We are able to be intensely active and at the same time constantly aware of God's existence. Krishna uses a clever psychological approach here. Think of me always, and I shall protect you. If God only protects those who constantly think of Him, who protects the others? That is the beauty of Swami Venkateswara Maharaj. God alone. To Him, all are equal, and He is not partial towards any, except in as much as they open themselves to Him and therefore receive His grace in greater abundance. If you have the courage and the intelligence to investigate life, you find that all that you needed at a certain moment had already been created years ago. The wheat for the bread that you had this morning grew specifically for you 3 years ago. When the devotee meditates upon the assurance contained in this verse, the hypnotic suggestion of the Lord takes effect upon him and he lets himself go entirely. It dawns upon him like a flash of lightning that God and God alone is the protector of all. And thenceforth, he abandons all selfish activity and dedicates himself to the service of mankind in the spirit of the Gita, remembering God constantly. It does not mean that such a devotee will be indifferent to the business of the world. On the contrary, he will make himself an egoless, selfless, and dynamic instrument in the hands of the Lord for His will to be done. The actual technique of attaining this state of being we explain as we go on in other verses of the Bhagavad Gita. And another important verse of the Bhagavad Gita is 18th chapter, 66th verse. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam paranam vaja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami masuchaha. This comes on 26th December. And I came to know Swamiji's birthday is 29th. And I wanted to read his thoughts also, what he thought on 29th December. First, I will read this 26th December about the meaning of that important verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam saranam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami masuchaha. Here, abandoning all dharmas, take refuge in me alone. I will liberate thee from all sins. Grieve not. This is the literal meaning of that verse. Dharma here can be interpreted variously. Let us look at it in two ways. One, narrow, Swamiji, beautiful, it's a narrow way of thinking. Narrow, sectarian, and organized religion of the often confused with dharma. To an extent, it is true that organized religion supports the masses thus shielding them from degradation. It unites and keeps them together. But when foolishly clung to, it strangulates the very people whom it kept together. Abandonment of all dharma, however, does not mean that we should egotistically and deludedly give them up, but we should not cling to them as if they were an end in themselves, as if they were the truth. The various religions were created by man, not by God. They were born after God and man. They can help man find God, but should never be substituted for God. Second way of thinking, the inherent nature of the body, mind, etc. is often designated as their dharmas. It is abandonment implies a vigilant non-identification of the divine with the functions of the body, mind, etc. This renunciation, however, is not possible unless we are rooted in God and we take refuge in Him. Taking refuge in Him itself is freedom from all sin and sorrow. In Him, there is no sin and no sorrow. Even as in the sun, there is no darkness. God is bliss. Bliss is not something He possesses and which He therefore gives us in answer to our prayer. Even the happiness we derive from prayer is merely the fruit of contact with Him. We should surrender ourselves to Him, to bliss. As long as our ego separates us from Him, so long shall we continue to be unhappy. All the gross and the subtle manifestations of this ego, selfishness, love of individualized existence, private desires, one's own philosophy, sectarianism, bigotry, a superiority complex, an air of holiness should be vigilantly avoided so that nothing stands between us and Him, the Supreme Being. Then this very world becomes the playground of the Spirit, and everything connected with it, whether it was previously called pleasure, pain, happiness, or sorrow, is instantly transformed into bliss, the play of God. Today, being the 29th of December, I also wanted to read what Swamiji wrote on 29th December many, many years ago. And what he wrote, he said, Kaschidetat sutam partha trayikagrena chetasa kaschid ajnanam samohat pranastaste dhananjaya. Arjuna uvacha nashto moha smriti labdha tattva sadvat mayatsuta sitosmi gatasangeha karishye vachanantava. This is a very beautiful, appropriate verse for 29th December for us as spiritual aspirants. And Lord asks Arjuna in the battlefield, in the end of the chapter, of the 18th chapter, after telling what is truth, what is tyaga, what is sannyasa, what is life, and Lord asked Arjuna, has this been heard, O Arjuna, with one-pointed mind? Has the delusion of thine ignorance been destroyed, O Dhananjaya? He uses the word Dhananjaya. That word is very, very important. Many Mandaleswar scholars give explanation about Dhananjaya. It is Arjuna who traveled all over the country and collected wealth. Hence he was known as Dhananjaya. Wealth is not merely the money, and he's got name and fame, and he became unconquerable also. Not only unconquerable in the war, and he became unconquerable by all evil forces. And he became so much devoted to God. And it is said, and the Lord himself tells, Pandavanam Dhananjaya. Among the Pandavas, I am Arjuna. It means Krishna and Arjuna, there's no difference at all. That was the qualification Arjuna got by surrendering, by total surrender. Arjuna is said, no one is more greater than Arjuna. He was so much devoted. Again, in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktosime Sakacheti Rahasyam Hataduttamam. Krishna tells to Arjuna, you are the greatest of all devotees, and it is said that which is supremely secret can be told only to the devotee. That which is supremely good also to be told to the devotee. And Arjuna has got a qualification, not only as a friend, not only as a relative, not as a devotee. On the other hand, he becomes one with Lord Krishna, and he announces, calls Arjuna as Dhananjaya. And Arjuna said, destroyed is my delusion, as I have gained my memory, knowledge, through thy grace, O Krishna. I am firm. My doubts are gone. I will act according to thy word, because he become instrument in the hand of God. That is the beauty of Lord Krishna. Look at it. Whenever you remember Lord Krishna, and there is a flute in his hand. You know what is the symbol of flute? How many holes are there in the flute? I will ask this question. Many people think how many are there. There are 7 Saptaswaras and 1 near the mouth, 8, and the entire bamboo hole is including, there are 9 holes in the flute. Our body also has got 9 holes. Navadware Puradehi. It means when you do surrender all these things like Arjuna in the battlefield of the Mahabharata, we also become instruments in the hands of God. Then only Lord asked this question to Arjuna. Then he became one with Lord Krishna. That commentary in this verse is, if one-pointedness of mind is not gained, we shall not understand or profit by even the word of God. There are many in this world who ask, but will not hear. There are others who sit in front of the master, but only physically. Their mind is elsewhere. They merely nod their heads at the truth, but the heart is untouched, and the gut level where the action is completely untouched. There are still others who, while listening, mentally carry on an argument, accepting some ideas and rejecting others. This multi-activity only tires them, preventing them from grasping the real meaning of the lesson imparted. They might hear the words, but unless they are Superman, they will miss their depth and complain that the explanations are not satisfactory. Whilst we do not advocate slavish blind acceptance of any teaching, we do accept that it is better and less strenuous to do the hearing first, receive, not necessarily accept the ideas, and reserve judgment. Once rapport has been established by the teacher and the taught, it is more profitable to self-hypnotize ourselves, not in the technical sense, in order that our finite little egotistic intellect may not interrupt and free the free flow of supreme wisdom from the lips of the master to our heart. Only then will we be able to declare with Arjuna that my delusion has been destroyed and I have regained the knowledge which was there always, the knowledge that the body is not the self. The mark of enlightenment is given as doubtlessness, a heart in which there is no doubt at all, and I am firm, reminds us of the state of the Sthitaprajna, stage of the firm wisdom mentioned in the end of the second chapter. Why does this lead to? We do God's will, joyously, participating in the dynamism of nature egolessly. And Swami Venkateswara Maharaj not only writing daily readings about the Bhagavad Gita, he also wrote one of the greatest philosophy, this Yoga Vasishta. In that, Swamiji, Sage Vasishta tells to Rama when he was only 14 years old. And then that instruction is more relevant to us even today. We feel how to live, what to do in our daily life. That is the problem of everybody. Hence, Sage Vasishta, at the age of 12 or 14 of Rama, he advises Rama what to do. And this is a very interesting instruction given by Sage Vasishta to Rama. Yoga Vasishta tells how a seeker of truth or knower of truth should act in this world. Steady in the state of fullness, which shines when all desires are given up, and peaceful in the state of freedom in life. Behave in this world, Raghava. Inwardly free from all desires, dispassionate and detached, but outwardly active in all affairs. Behave in this world, O Raghava. Outwardly full of zeal in action, but free of any zeal at heart. Active in appearance, but inwardly peaceful. Behave in this world, O Raghava. Free from egoism, with mind detached as in sleep, pure like the sky, ever untainted. Behave in this world, Raghava. Conducting yourself nobly and with tenderness, conforming to the forms of society, but inwardly renouncing all. Behave in this world, Raghava. Unattached at heart, but outwardly acting as if with attachment. Inwardly cool, but outwardly fervent. Behave in this world, O Raghava. When Rama is only at the age of 12 or 16, Sage Vasishta instructed Rama in this way. It is just like, look at it. Outside, in the surface, there are many waves, but deep down, it is very calmness. And like that, Lord Sage Vasishta instruct Rama in the Yoga Vasishta. Here I also wanted to read what Swami Venkateswara Maharaj wrote on 29th December in Yoga Vasishta. Here also is a beautiful conversation between Valmiki and great Bharadwaja. Bharadwaja asked, O preceptor, it is indeed a delight to hear that thus Rama attained the supreme state. But how is it possible for us who are foolish and ignorant and who are of sinful disposition to attain that state of Lord Rama, which is difficult even for gods like Brahma or others to reach? Valmiki said to that sage, I have narrated to you in full the dialogue between Rama and Vasishta. Consider it well, for that is also my instruction to you. There is no division in consciousness, which can be called the world. Rid yourself of the notion of division by the practice of secrets revealed to you. Both waking and sleep states are part of this creation. Enlightenment is characterized by pure inner light. This creation emerges from nothing. It dissolves in nothing. Its very nature is void. It does not exist. On account of beginningless and false self-limitation, this creation appears to exist, creating countless confusions. You are deluded because you do not recollect repeatedly and frequently the truth concerning the infinite consciousness. But you partake of the poison of self-limitation and the consequent psychological conditioning. Here, very, very interesting is, we know God is all-pervading, and everybody understand in one's heart God dwells, because it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, Ishvara sarvabhutanam hridaya tishtati. God is the indweller in the hearts of all beings. Why the heart? Look at our own heart. Normally, many people ask, how can you do selfless action? How can you do karma yoga? There is no need to read any book. The entire nature works selflessly. Sun shines, river flows, mountain exists, wind blows. Are they expect anything? The entire nature works selflessly. Not only the nature, look at our own bodily organs. Look at the heart. 24 hours is working. It is not only pumping the blood, it is purifying the blood also. Look at our lungs. It is functioning all the time. What lungs does? It is not only breathing in and breathing out. It purifies the blood also. It oxygenates the blood. And they are all working night and day from birth to death. Are they expect anything? It means our bodily organs also doing karma yoga. Entire nature also doing karma yoga. What we will have to do? We will have to change the angle of vision, see the nature, and there is no need to do. Our breathing alone reveals the supreme truth. If our mind becomes silent, not thinking, not planning, not scheming, if you focus or concentrate your own mind on your own breath, breath also becomes slow, deeper, and our mind can hear the sound of our breath. What is it? Normally, we need not do any japa also. Our breathing also becomes a japa. It means, look at it, sound of our breath is called soham, soham. I am that, I am that. Hence, there is no need to do anything. Be yourself. Hence, our Gurudev, in the inspiring stories, he wrote so many stories that which is simple and easily to grasp. And there was a king, and he used to hear Svadhyaya to the help of a Pandit. Daily that Pandit will go and read some scriptures. And that Pandit used to tell, to realize God, to realize the self, Vairagya is very, very important. And this king said to the Pandit, give me Vairagya. How can you give Vairagya? Otherwise, I will cut your head. And that what can he say? The Pandit cannot do anything. And he went back, he said, this is the problem for me. He has got his own one granddaughter. She's a very intelligent girl. She said, king is telling, ask me to, I am reading daily. I told Vairagya is very essential. And king is asking me, giving Vairagya. How can I give Vairagya? And then, very difficult. The granddaughter said, you please take me tomorrow to the palace. I will, whatever I behave, you should not force me or talk to me. and only king alone should hear, and the king will take action. Then she went to the palace in the big hall. She asked the grandfather to tie her to the one of the pillar. And then when the king came and sat in the throne, she began to shout and scream, I am bound, I am bound, I am bound, I am bound, began to weep. And she said, I cannot move my legs, I cannot think, I cannot do anything, bound, bound, he was thinking. And then the king said, what a foolish girl. She asked her to tie, and her grandfather tied, and she is weeping. And then when said, let the king come here, I will tell him. When grandfather asked the king, she want to tell you something. And king went to near the pillar. She told, you are in the same condition which I am now. You tie yourself to the throne, you tie yourself to the kingdom, you can't tie yourself to the family, and he asking you to give him vairagya. And really, are you bound by the throne? Or you bind your family? Or bind your kingdom? Is it not your wrong way of thinking? Just like I am tied and tying and shouting, you're also doing, asking my grandfather, giving vairagya. He tied you. Now, I will ask my grandfather to release, but it is not that. And identifying our mind with the body, senses, all these things called bondage. When you go deep state, going somewhere. So long mind is filled with likes and dislikes, you are bound. Hence, the liberation comes, automatically you see your own essential nature, which is all-pervading. God is all-pervading. And He is beyond all names and forms. His consciousness. Universita again and again tells that God is all-pervading. That we call it different religions as different forms. Truth is one, God is one, and the sadhana is only to convince about this. Purpose of the retreat also, the theme is Bhagavad Gita teaching is liberating factor in our daily life. Hence, read the Bhagavad Gita, read the commentaries, read daily readings of Venkateswara Maharaj, and also beautiful commentary of Worshipful Gurudev Swami Shivaji Maharaj, and also our Krishnaji Maharaj, because we are celebrating Krishnaji Maharaj also birth centenary. May the grace of the Almighty and Worshipful Gurudev and blessings of Venkateswara Maharaj, Krishnaji Maharaj be always upon you, is my heartfelt prayer. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamrutat. What we will have to do? We will have to live in the spirit of universal prayer of Worshipful Gurudev. O adorable Lord of mercy and love, salutations and prostrations unto Thee, Thou art omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. Thou art Satchitananda, existence, consciousness, bliss absolute. Thou art the indweller of all beings. Grant us an understanding heart, equal vision, balanced mind, faith, devotion, and wisdom. Grant us inner spiritual strength to resist temptations and to control the mind. Free us from egoism, lust, greed, hatred, anger, and jealousy. Fill our hearts with divine virtues. Let us behold Thee in all these names and forms. Let us serve Thee in all these names and forms. Let us ever remember Thee. Let us ever sing Thy glories. Let thy name be ever on our lips. Let us abide in thee forever and ever. Let us abide in thee forever and ever. Om Sarvesham Swasti Bhavatu. Sarvesham Santir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Sarve Santu Niramaya. Sarve Bhadrani Pasyantu. Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Asato Ma Sadgamaya. Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya. Nutyorma Amrutangamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you for all the participants and viewers in this Christmas retreat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om.
Hari Om Swamiji. On behalf of Swami Parvatyananda Mataji and all the devotees in Ananda Kutia Ashram, as well as all the disciples of Swami Venkateshwaraji from all over the world, we want to express our heartfelt thanks to you for your tribute to Sri Swami Venkateshwaraji Maharaj. It means so much to us that you have addressed us today. And so our gratitude to you, Swamiji. Thank you also for releasing the book. It is a book of 100 photographs, one for each year, of Swami Venkateshwaraji with captions. Actually, Swamiji, the inspiration to this book was given by Sri Swami Hamsanandaji Maharaj when my last visit, Swamiji. So Swami Hamsananda suggested that I send him 100 photographs and then he wrote the captions, Swamiji. And we are also very grateful to Ramachandra Ji, because he was the crucial.
Yes.
He was crucial. I think Ramachandra is there with you, Swamiji.
Ramachandra, show your face. And our Amrutananda Mataji also is here.
Hari Om. Swamiji and Ramachandra. Hari Om Mataji. So yes, we're so grateful to Ramachandra, because if it wasn't for him, Swamiji, this book would not be released. He was crucial in the communication between myself and Swami Hamsananda. And
So
also we want to
beautiful-
thank Swamiji. Thank you. And we also want to thank Beeping Mataji for the book marks, because she created them and sponsored them also. So Mataji, thank you so much. She's somewhere on the screen here.
I'll give that book to Ramachandra also.
Yes, thank you.
I'm also taking one.
Yes.
Swamiji, please.
Having a secret wish. I said, I hope somebody gives me a copy.
And Swamiji, thank you also for reading from Swami Venkateswarananda's translations and commentary. It somehow gave it that extra impetus and a little injection into our hearts. Oh, there's Beeping Mataji. Hari Om. So thank you so much.
One more book is there, we'll give to Gurudev.
Oh.
We are already offered to Gurudev. We'll keep it in Samadhi Mandir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So thank you so much, and Swami Parvatyananda Mataji. And thank you, Amritananda Mataji, for arranging this talk and including it in the retreat.
And I also would like to thank you, Swamiji, and thank you again, Swamiji, for your beautiful talk this morning. And I was thinking, Swamiji, when you started to read from Venkateswaranaji's books, what a wonderful tribute. And I didn't mention, but Swamiji reminded me when he said that Swami Brahmanandaji took up the Yoga Vasishtha. So many times over the years we read that book, and also the Song of God, and also the Bhagavatam.
Yes.
And I still have those books we use, and they're full of notes. And I'm sure that you reading from these will inspire many
Yes.
to want to read them themselves, because really they're so clear and short.
Very simple
and,
English,
yeah,
beautiful explanation.
yeah,
Easily grasp it.
yes, yes. So thank you for your beautiful tribute also, Swamiji.
Thank you.
It's been a very inspiring morning for us. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Hari Om.